Okay, here we are, South Beach Gospel Ministries home headquarters. This is where we do our midweek house church Bible study, and you're looking at the charts and diagrams that we use. Here's our kind of lovely setting here in South Beach. We're going to be using this chart for the next couple of weeks as you see part 1 and part 2 of the 7 letters to the 7 churches, which comes out in Revelation chapter 2 and Revelation chapter 3, which I will upload as a companion to those links for Revelation chapter 3, which will be the part 1, Revelation chapter 2, which will be the part 1, and Revelation chapter 3 will be the part 2 of this 2-part series on the 7 churches of the book of Revelation. And so I'm going to give you a close-up here so that those of you that are Bereans and studious students, you'll have your own chart at home that you'll be able to look at. So what you can do is basically take this chart, make a screen capture of it, and you can make your own PDF and you'll have your own study materials at home. So let's give you the close-up. Here is the church of Ephesus, and you see that Jesus gives a comment. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So these 7 letters are basically 7 report cards to 7 churches that existed in Asia Minor at the time John received this in 96 AD. But it's also a overview of 7 different epochs, if you will, periods. That's EPOCH of the church. Here's a chart that kind of describes that. We've got a 7-phase timeline chart. The 7 number is a really important one in Bible prophecy, the number of completion. God created the universe in 6 days, but added a 7th day as the day of rest because he was done. And so it's been suggested that after 6 different 1,000-year epochs or days of human history, there'll be the final 7th Sabbath day's rest, which we call the millennial reign of Christ. And the church will come back as priests and kings with Jesus and become the bride of Christ. And the tribulation saints that aren't martyred yet will enter in as normal mortal human beings and will repopulate the planet Earth during that period of time. But they never get to be part of the bride of Christ, which is why getting saved now is so absolutely key. So let's give you a close-up here. This is a map that'll kind of tell you where the churches were in Asia Minor. Again, these were actual literal churches that had been established by Paul and, with the assistance of Peter and the other guys by 96 AD. So you see in basically Asia Minor is what we call Turkey today. We start in the north, the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea. You see up to the upper right and left-hand corner. Asia Minor, now Turkey. You see the Church of Pergamon is the northernmost one, followed by the church of Thyatira. And Jesus said, I have a few things against you, Pergamum. Thyatira says, hold on to what you have until I come. Then you have Smyrna, the little persecuted poor church. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Man, it doesn't seem like these guys were following the prosperity ministry, not in Smyrna. And then you have the church of Sardis, and you have some archaeological artifacts that show that it still exists to this day, or at least the remains. And Jesus said, you have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Uh-oh, that's a summary of a report card you don't want to hear. Then you've got Philadelphia, which is the Greek compound word, which means city of brotherly love. And Jesus says to them, I have placed before you an open door. And then you have the church of Ephesus, another award-winning church. But it had a problem. Ephesus, you've forsaken your first love. Uh-oh, you don't want to hear Jesus saying that about you. These report cards did apply to these churches in Asia Minor, but they can apply to each believer in his own life in terms of how he's going to get a report card of how he did. And finally, you get that 7th Laodicean church. The criticism is, you are lukewarm. Uh-oh, and there's the remains of Laodicea in the southernmost portion of Asia Minor where the churches were established. So that gives you a real good geographical depiction, gives you something to place your learning on. If you can hang a picture in your mind of what you're talking about, it really adds to the teaching. So here you go. Here's a summary of the chart. Let's take a look and see what the summary is. You have to the church of Ephesus, the strengths, the faults, the instruction, and the promise for each one of the seven. And we're going to just pan down slowly so you can follow it. And there's Ephesus, hard work, patient endurance, reject evil, persevere. Smyrna, endure your suffering and poverty, and yet you are rich. That's a conundrum. That's a divine paradox right there. We'll talk about that later. And there you got the worldly church of Pergamum. Loyalty to Christ, that's good. Refuse to deny him, that's good. But you tolerate cults, that's not good. We have that today. Thyatira, they have the wrong doctrine. How many Christian organizations have wrong doctrine? Jehovah's Witnesses, Roman Catholics, Seventh-day Adventists. You know, wrong doctrine is really important in God's eyes. You know, they were complimented for having deeds of love, faith, service, patient endurance, but tolerating cults and idolatry and immorality, that's not good. Hold fast till I come, Jesus says. Church of Philadelphia, the church of brotherly love, kept my word. And the criticism, the faults, guess what? There's none there. And here, what we see here is a promise in Revelation chapter 3 and verses 7 to 13. A real important promise. I put a flag next to it. I have placed before you an open door, and I will keep you from the hour of trial. That's a really key verse for the pre-tribulation rapture defenders like us here at South Beach Gospel Ministries. There's such controversy in the body of Christ about the rapture, whether it'll happen, and if it does, pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation, post-tribulation. And here's a great verse that you can add to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 13 through 18, and 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 48 to 52, and John chapter 14, verses 1, 2, and 3, which are the ones that jump out of my mind that prove the pre-tribulation rapture. But here is a promise to a church that says, I will keep you from the hour of trial, and I will make you a pillar in the temple of my God. Doesn't sound like Jesus is expecting the church of Philadelphia to go through the great tribulation period. And then finally in 7th, you have the Laodicean complacent church. And I use that term to criticize pop culture Christianity and prosperity Christianity, name it and claim it, television evangelism. Good stuff, strengths? Bingo, none. You're neither hot nor cold. You rely on riches, but you don't realize you're wretched. Turn. And man, that's a criticism there. So Laodicea, not a good church. You don't want Laodicea on your report card, do you? So we're going to be talking about that in detail. And again, I'm going to post this with the companion video that gives a brief introduction on Saturday when you see this. And I'll put the link for the verse by verse full course teaching of some great substance when we get to the first part of this Revelation chapter 2, which requires charts and verse by verse detail that we can't do in the outdoors wild west of South Beach. So we're going to add the link for those that want the really in-depth verse by verse study of the entire Revelation chapter 2 and Revelation chapter 3. But this is a great companion. Take a look at this in conjunction with the other short video that's going to be uploaded at the same time. And then you can click on the link below that'll give you the actual verse by verse, in-depth detail, Berean student breakdown of Revelation chapter 2 this week. If the rapture doesn't happen, Revelation chapter 3 in the following week. So, okay, South Beach Gospel Ministries tuning out, and we will see you guys out there on South Beach. That's our mission field. And everybody, whether you like it or not, you're a soldier now. You're in the army if you're born again. And you got to grab your tracks from whatever source you can get it from. I like Jack Chick tracks. And you got to give it to whoever is in your world. Because whatever your local world is, that's your mission field. So God bless you guys. And like and subscribe. Our last video, my gosh, it went through the roof. We had a bunch of new subscribers, a bunch of new viewers. So that's really good. We're getting the message out with the little time that we have left. So again, here's your chart. That's going to be real helpful for you. And put those 2 or 3 together in conjunction, this video, the other short video that gives an overview of Revelation chapter 2, and then the link below that'll have Revelation chapter 2 verse by verse in full glorious detail. All right, we'll see you guys on Saturday, and when you see this, it'll probably already be Saturday if the rapture doesn't come first. God bless you guys. South Beach Gospel Ministries tuning out.